I'm Vanessa.
Standing here in my designer gown, champagne in hand, I watched my brother Lucas and father Henry announce my replacement as CEO of our family business, Crestwood Furniture. I'd saved this business from the brink of bankruptcy, and yet, here they were, smiling for the cameras as if I was nothing more than a passing footnote in the company's history. Little did they know, I'd uncovered their treacherous plan months ago. If you've ever felt that gut-wrenching betrayal from your own family, you might understand the cold determination that replaced my initial heartbreak. As I share this journey from betrayal to vindication, I'd love to hear from you. The comments section has become a haven for those of us who've endured family business nightmares. If my story resonates with you, please subscribe and join our community of survivors who've turned betrayal into triumph. Let me take you back to the beginning. Long before I was born, the Crestwood name was respected in the furniture industry. My grandfather, Arthur, started Crestwood Furniture in a small shed in 1950 after returning from the Korean War. With just his skills and unwavering determination, he built a reputation for high-quality craftsmanship, transforming that shed into a regional powerhouse. I was the golden child of the family. Even as a young girl, I was fascinated by the business. I'd follow my father, Henry, around the factory floor, and he'd introduce me to every worker by name. Vanessa has a unique business sense, he'd proudly tell anyone who would listen. She notices details others miss. She'll take Crestwood Furniture to new heights. Those words shaped my identity. While other girls were into dolls and parties, I was engrossed in quarterly reports and supply chain puzzles that my father made into games for me. My younger brother, Lucas, for years my junior, never shared my passion. He spent his weekends partying with friends and showed little interest in our family legacy. My father, however, always brushed it off, saying, "Boys will be boys. Lucas will find his way." Our mother, Grace, was the rock of our family. She encouraged me to pursue my dreams while also reminding me to enjoy my childhood. She was the one who kept our family together. But when cancer took her when I was 25 and Lucas was 21, our family dynamic changed forever. Without her warmth and mediation, my father and brother grew closer, and I often felt like an outsider. Despite this, I focused on my education. I graduated at the top of my class from Harvard Business School with an MBA. I landed a job at a top-tier consulting firm, and my father was incredibly proud. He advised me to gain experience first, saying, "The company will be here when you're ready." For 3 years, I thrived in the high-pressure world of consulting. Meanwhile, Crestwood Furniture started to decline. My father, in his late 50s, struggled to adapt to the changing market. Lucas, who had finally joined the company after changing majors multiple times in college, did little more than collect his salary. Then the call came. My father had a severe heart attack at the office. I immediately took an indefinite leave from my job and rushed home. What I found was shocking. The business was in far worse shape than I'd imagined. We were behind on payments to suppliers, sales had dropped by 35% in 2 years, and the bank was threatening to foreclose on our loans. Looking at my father in the hospital bed, his once strong presence diminished, I made a decision that would change my life. "I'll step in temporarily, just until you're back on your feet," I told him. Little did I know that temporarily would turn into 12 long years of sacrifice and innovation. Taking over the company was like trying to stop a runaway train. The company was losing money rapidly, key employees were leaving, and our showroom looked like it was from the 1970s. I remember the sick feeling in my stomach when I saw the financial reports. We had less than 6 months before bankruptcy. The old guard employees were resistant to change. Frank, our long-time production manager, crossed his arms and said, "Miss Crestwood, we've been making furniture the same way for 40 years. Your fancy degree won't change what works." I slid the financial reports across the table and replied, "Does this look like it's working to you, Frank?" That first year was a living hell. I worked 16-hour days, often sleeping on the couch in my office. My fiancé, Ryan, grew frustrated with my constant absences. "It's always the business with you," he said after I missed his birthday dinner because a major client was about to pull out. I insisted it was temporary, but our engagement ended 6 months later. Lucas, on the other hand, continued to live a carefree life. He showed up at the office occasionally, mainly to charm clients and take long lunches with my father's old friends. He had the Crestwood name and charm, but no real commitment to the business. With my personal life in ruins, I poured all my energy into saving the company. I made bold changes, like switching to sustainable materials before it was trendy, modernizing our classic designs, and investing heavily in digital marketing when our competitors were still relying on print ads. The turning point came when I secured a partnership with a fast-growing national retailer, Horizon Home. I spent weeks crafting a pitch that highlighted our traditional craftsmanship and new sustainable practices. The night before the presentation, I ran my hands over a mahogany dining table my grandfather had designed and whispered, "Help me save what you built." The Horizon Home deal changed everything. Within 18 months, we went from near bankruptcy to profitability. By the third year, we doubled our workforce and upgraded our production facilities. I developed our signature heritage collection, which combined my grandfather's classic designs with modern materials and functionality. My father recovered gradually and returned to work in a reduced capacity. He publicly praised my leadership, but privately questioned some of my more progressive decisions. Lucas remained a peripheral figure, only showing up for photo, ops, and client events. By the 5th year, our annual revenue reached $20 million, and by the 10th year, we were debt-free and approaching $30 million in revenue. I'd not only saved the family legacy, but elevated it beyond anyone's expectations. I started planning for international expansion, as there was growing interest in our sustainable furniture in European and Asian markets. However, my success sowed the seeds of betrayal. About 6 months ago, during a routine Monday meeting, my father casually mentioned that he and Lucas had lunch with our banker over the weekend. It was odd because I handled all our banking relationships. When I called the account manager later, he seemed evasive. Over the next few weeks, I noticed other strange things. Lucas, who rarely set foot in the office, suddenly became very interested in company operations. He started showing up 3 or 4 days a week, scheduling meetings with department heads and asking for copies of contracts and financial reports. One day, as I approached my father's office, I overheard a fragment of conversation. Lucas was saying, "Restructuring the leadership makes sense before the international push. Vanessa's done well, but..." When I knocked, they fell silent. Inside, I found my father, Lucas, and Richard Thompson, the owner of our main competitor, Thompson Furniture. They looked like kids caught in a lie. After Richard left, they assured me they were just exploring options for international expansion. But a cold feeling settled in my stomach. Then our office manager, Mrs. Jenkins, who had been with the company for 20 years, came to me after hours. "I shouldn't say this, but I'm loyal to the company and your grandfather's memory," she said. She told me about the whispers among the employees. My father had been having secret meetings with lawyers, and Lucas had been showing the factory to investors without my knowledge. I started to dig deeper. I found out that my father had transferred a significant portion of his shares to Lucas over the past year. Our company lawyer, Mr. Harris, became evasive when I asked about upcoming contract renewals. The final proof came when I installed monitoring software on my office computer. 3 weeks later, I found a series of emails between my father, Lucas, and Richard Thompson. They had been planning to remove me as CEO for months. They planned to announce Lucas as the new CEO at our upcoming 70th anniversary celebration, coinciding with the launch of my heritage collection. They even claimed my designs as Lucas's work and planned to offer me a buy-out at a fraction of the market value. I was devastated. After all I'd sacrificed, they saw me as just a temporary tool. But as dawn broke, I decided to fight back. I called an old acquaintance, Sarah Reed, a tough-as-nails attorney who specialized in family business disputes. She helped me understand my options and my leverage. I started to gather support. I identified key employees who were loyal to me, like Lily from marketing and Tom from product development. They were disillusioned with Lucas's leadership and were eager to join me if I started a new venture. I also reached out to our major clients. When I spoke to the purchasing director of Horizon Home, he said, "We partnered with Crestwood because of you, Vanessa. Your commitment to sustainability and quality is what we value." I secured a personal loan against my house to fund a potential new business. As the anniversary celebration approached, I prepared myself. I ordered a stunning red gown, a statement of my confidence. At the celebration, my father announced Lucas as the new CEO and presented the Heritage Collection as his brainchild. When it was my turn to speak, I remained calm. I congratulated Lucas and reminded the audience of our journey from the brink of bankruptcy. I emphasized that the Heritage Collection was my vision and that I was excited to continue innovating in the furniture industry. The next day, I was fired, but I was ready. I signed a lease for a new commercial space and incorporated Crestwood Legacy, a new company with a name that honored my family's heritage. Employees started leaving Crestwood Furniture to join me. Our major clients also followed me. 3 weeks after the party, an industry magazine ran a story about my ousting, raising questions about the wisdom of the leadership change. Richard Thompson withdrew from the partnership with Crestwood Furniture due to the negative press and the exodus of talent. Lucas's international expansion plan fell apart. Meanwhile, Crestwood Legacy thrived. We signed contracts with major retailers, and our first collection received rave reviews. Quality issues started to surface at Crestwood Furniture under Lucas's leadership, and major clients began canceling orders. 6 months after my dismissal, I won the prestigious Furniture Innovation Award for Crestwood Legacy. My former company was struggling, and its stock value plummeted. One day, my father came to my office. He looked defeated. He admitted he'd made a terrible mistake, saying he was influenced by old-fashioned thinking and pressure from some clients who were uncomfortable with my progressive ideas. He asked for my help. I decided not to return to Crestwood Furniture, but I offered a limited collaboration. We licensed some of our designs to them with strict quality control oversight. 2 weeks later, Lucas resigned as CEO. The company's board appointed an interim CEO while they searched for a permanent replacement. 18 months after my dismissal, I led an investment group to buy out Crestwood Furniture at a fraction of its former value. I reunited the Crestwood legacy under my vision, and my father took on a ceremonial role. Today, as I sit in my office overlooking the production floor of what is now simply Crestwood, I see my grandfather's old workbench in the lobby. I often wonder what my mother would think of all that has happened. I like to believe she'd be proud of how I handled the betrayal with dignity and strategic thinking. The most important lesson I've learned is that true family businesses are built on merit and trust, not just blood. I refuse to let betrayal define my future or the future of the company. If you've faced similar family business betrayals, I hope my story gives you the strength to fight back.